Good evening and welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight: frustration and financial losses for traders in Rotherham who say 18 months of roadworks is threatening their livelihoods.
So we lost probably £1,500 a week, and then we went down to losing about £1,000 a week.
Fearing for our future for the next 9 months of roadworks.
Northern Power Grid says the work is essential. Also tonight, how to run a successful small business. We hear from the Keithley baker who said no to giving away cake in exchange for publicity. Rovers are up and running as they knock Hull out of the EFL Cup.
Breakdancing, or breaking as it's officially known, is coming to the Olympics next year, so I'm in Bradford and these guys are teaching me how to do it.
And what a lovely start to the day it was on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal there in Saltaire, and there's plenty of warmth and sunshine to come tomorrow. Join me for the very latest.
Thank you for joining us this evening. A village in Rotherham may end up losing its high street shops after 4 sets of roadworks in 18 months. Businesses in Harthill say the latest works will last until April next year, with the current road closures lasting for 11 weeks. Northern Power Grid are digging up the roads to upgrade the network and provide a better service for the nearby Woodhall services on the M1. Shop owners say previous closures have cost them tens of thousands of pounds of trade, and this time they may not survive. James Vincent has spent the day there.
3 businesses, 3 neighbours and 3 people who aren't sure whether they'll be here in a few weeks' time. John says this is the 4th set of roadworks in 18 months, and this lot will last until April next year.
So we lost probably £1,500 a week, and then we went down to losing about £1,000 a week.
So how much do you reckon you've lost so far?
I think my account worked it out at just over £9,000.
For a small business, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's not good, no.
But I guess you're worried that 11 weeks is a long time.
11 weeks is a long time. 11 weeks is time for somebody else to find somewhere else to go. It's been advertised as an investment in Harthill, but it's not. It's just good. It's good at motorway services to charge electric cars, which I get is needed. It's just frustrating because it just seems to be year on year, and it's not just for businesses, it's local people.
Yeah, cheers, John, thank you. Right, we've been to the butchers, now to the barbers. Right, Catherine, we've been to see John. We need to ask you about these road closures as well.
No problem. Right, take a seat.
Thank you. Right, how do you feel about it all then? What do you reckon?
Angry, annoyed. We're absolutely sick of it. And I've worked it out that that's going to cost me about £14,000 over this 10-month period that this road's going to be closed.
Do you worry about stopping open? Because I know that some other businesses...
Yeah, we do. I do. I feel like I've been kicked in the teeth that many times this last few years. And if this trade drops off in this next year, I mean, 10 months is a long time. 10 months is a long time to stomach it. I will turn around and say, look, that's it.
Right, thank you very much. Yep, all tidy. We've been to the butchers, the barbers, now the fruit and veg shop next door.
Yeah, we're just feeling so frustrated. We're fearing for our future for the next 9 months of roadworks.
Is it that bad that you might end up closing? What are you thinking about that?
If a lot of customers decide to go elsewhere, it will really affect us. We do fear for our future.
Northern Power Grid says that the work's part of a £7.7 million investment in the network around Harthill, as well as providing Woodhall services the additional capacity required to install more essential electric vehicle charging points. It says it's worked with the council and all businesses within the affected areas to understand their concerns. They say there's a diversion route in place, and it's funded a daytime shuttle bus and on-demand taxi service to help people. But John, Catherine and Cleana aren't convinced.
It's a long diversion round for them to get to us. So are they going to go to another shop for their convenience instead of coming here like they would have?
Are we going to get kids to school after 6-week holidays? Because that's the main route, it's comprehensive.
Really don't understand how they expect us to survive. But, you know, we've just got to take it on chin, haven't we? Again.
And this is what the main street through Harthill will look like for the foreseeable. James Vincent, BBC Look North, Harthill.
Next tonight, a Keithley baker who made headlines after refusing to cater for a celebrity's party in exchange for publicity says She's been inundated with support for her business. Rebecca Severs, who owns Three Little Birds Bakery, said she spoke out to defend small businesses. Nicola Rees has been to meet her.
We're probably going to sell a few hundred macarons this weekend, and we've also got a couple of weddings, and one of the weddings we're doing 210 mini cakes for.
At the Three Little Birds Bakery in Keighley, they can hardly keep up with demand.
Maybe it's under raspberry.
It's been Rebecca's busiest week ever, and all because she refused to bake cakes for a celeb in exchange for publicity.
Exposure might sound good, but it doesn't pay the bills. And when you are a small business, those pressures are very real. You have a very real wage bill at the end of every week.
It all started with a request from Leeds-based PR company Neverland. They claimed to be organising a 40th birthday party for a well-known celeb. They wanted cakes for free and said payments would be made in the form of promotion on their socials and a magazine plug. It hit a nerve with Rebecca, and she published this reply on Facebook. As my mortgage provider doesn't take payment in the form of promotion on their socials, and my staff can't feed their kids with exposure on Instagram, I'll have to decline.
What's the response been like since, well, it's now known as Cakegate, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We've been overwhelmed by the response, to be honest, both from our local community in Keighley, with people coming in to show their support and buying cakes, but also just my inbox has been absolutely full from people round the world, which has been totally surreal, but also just amazing to know that this is something that people care about and they're really pro small business.
It soon emerged the cakes had been intended for former Coronation Street actress Catherine Tildesley. This was her response.
Cakegate? What? So, I had no idea those emails were being sent. I'm not working with the lovely OK magazine on anything that I'm aware of. And Neverland are an amazing company.
Neverland say they were misconstrued. The whole saga's been viewed by millions online, and it's created a buzz in the shop too.
There you go, enjoy your goodies, and thank you so much for popping in.
I come from Pickleball, in between Cardiff and Swansea in South Wales, coming up to the Leeds game, so I wanted to come into Keighley to support the lady, because I totally agree with the way she handled herself. I thought it was disgraceful. I didn't get it for free, but I didn't mind that at all. I'd have paid double.
The PR company had wanted flamingos and glitter. Never want to miss an opportunity, Rebecca now has her own Cakegate cupcake.
Yeah, so obviously I was gutted that I didn't get to make the actual brief, so I thought we'd make our own cupcake inspired by the original email. So this is what it is. Very glam.
Payment for this one is cash or card only. Emojis and likes optional. Nicola Rees, BBC Look North, Keighley.
Hopefully these will go down a treat.
Wednesday's Look North still to come on tonight's programme. Introducing Pickleball, the new racket game taking North Yorkshire by storm. A pioneering project here in Yorkshire could mean hospital patients will be less likely to develop infections when they go for surgery. A new machine which can kill bacteria and viruses like MRSA in the nose is being trialled in Pontefract, as Ollie Constable explains.
It might look a bit odd, but it's hoped this is the answer to lowering infection levels in hospitals.
The patient has a swab up each nose with some methylene blue dye in, and then we insert 2 probes, 1 into each nostril. The machine emits a red light, which then sensitises and kills all the pathogens in the nasal cavity.
And it's bacteria and viruses like MRSA that are killed.
Patients who have high bacterial loads before surgery are more likely to encounter problems with deep infection after their hip or knee replacement, and this is a way of trying to reduce that load so that hopefully then reduce the risk of infection in patients having surgery.
And it's pioneering treatment. This has already been used elsewhere in the world, and now it's here in Yorkshire.
Yeah, this is a new pilot in the NHS, first in the UK, so we're excited to be sort of testing out this innovation here at Pontefract, and we're hoping to test it out for over a 6-month period to see how patients and staff are getting along with it. We're looking to reduce the risk of drug-resistant infections. The good thing about this technology is that it's not an antibiotic, so we're introducing a light into the patient's nose and that can reduce the amount of microbes in the nose and therefore reducing the risk of infection after surgery.
Deep infection following a hip or knee replacement can be a devastating complication for the patient, leading to prolonged hospital stays and lots of further operations. So anything we can do to try and reduce that risk is welcome.
And if you stop people from coming back here, repeat visits to the hospital because they're having an infection, ultimately means that you move people away from the hospital, stops them from having to take beds up here.
Well, yeah, it reduces the amount of bed blockage. A patient with a deep infection would often stay in hospital for several weeks, and obviously the patient would have a much worse outcome than if they didn't have the infection, so that's what we're hoping to achieve.
Infections ultimately cost the NHS billions of pounds a year. For patient Tricia, it's a short journey to surgery, but a new hip will have a big impact on her life. The last thing she wants is to be back here recovering from an infection. Ollie Constable, BBC Look North, Pontefract.
A 28-year-old man has been charged following a fire at a North Yorkshire Michelin-starred pub in November 2021. The man from Helmsley has been charged with committing arson with recklessness at the Star Inn in Hareham. The damage to the restaurant was in excess of £2 million and destroyed its 14th century thatched roof. He's due to appear at Scarborough Magistrates Court on Monday. Steam buffs are invited to get up close to the Flying Scotsman when it returns to its birthplace of Doncaster as part of its 100th year anniversary tour. The famous steam locomotive returns to South Yorkshire on the weekend of the 11th and 12th of November. Organisers of the free event say people will be able to step onto the engine's footplate. Now, with just a week to go until A-level results day, it's an anxious time for students waiting to hear if they've got the right grades for their chosen university. For many, it's been an uphill struggle just getting to this stage. Grace Brooks from Doncaster is hoping to go to Durham University to study politics and sociology. She's been helped by the organisation Zero Gravity, which was set up by Joe Seddon. Umair Afzal is a fifth-year dental student at the University of Leeds and is also a mentor. I began by asking Joe why he set up Zero Gravity.
Well, I was passionate about this issue because I'd faced it firsthand in my own life. I grew up in a small town in West Yorkshire called Morley, in a single-parent family. My mum's a speech therapist in the NHS, and I attended state schools and made the journey to Oxford University, where I studied PPE. I saw firsthand just how difficult it is as a student from Yorkshire to break into elite institutions. And as state school students in this country, there's likely to know 0 people who attended Oxbridge. As a private school student is to know more than 9. So that gap in network is absolutely huge. I wanted to do something about it because the top institutions in this country are missing out on so much talent, not only from Yorkshire, but from other areas of the UK that often go overlooked.
You've coined the term network advantage. How has Zero Gravity managed to counter this advantage?
Yeah, so the network advantage is the inside track you get from having a network of professionals around you who've been to these top universities and currently are employed in top careers. And just having somebody who can tell you how the system works and give you the mentorship to get in is so powerful. What we've done at Zero Gravity is we've built a digital platform to connect ambitious students from low opportunity areas. And so far, we've supported over 8,000 students from those backgrounds into top universities.
OK, let's talk to some people using Zero Gravity. Grace, you were applying to Durham University. You weren't sure it was right for you initially. Why was that?
Coming from a COVID year and GCSEs being cancelled, I didn't do as well as I wanted to in my GCSEs, so I went into A-levels not really having much confidence at all to go to apply to a Russell Group university, never mind university at all. And I wasn't really surrounded by people who were excelling to university.
So you're typical of what Joe was talking about. And how has Zero Gravity helped you?
When I applied to Zero Gravity, I was matched really well with my mentor, Vicky, who does a similar course to what I've applied to at Durham University. And she showed me her personal statement. She helped me with my personal statement. We shared a Google document and we just bounced ideas off each other. And it really gave me like a real life view of what I could do myself. So it really increased my confidence a lot.
What grades are you hoping to get next week in your A-level so that you can live the dream and go to Durham?
So to go to Durham, I need, my entry requirements are 3 A's. So I'm really hoping I get them next week.
Thank you very much, Grace. Umair, you're a mentor. You've worked as a mentor for Zero Gravity for a couple of years.
Yes.
Why did you decide to do this?
I realised that when I actually started university, that in dental school there was very few people from a background like me. I'm from a working class background, I'm from a state school background, and I'm from a single parent family. And a lot of the other students around me had a lot more of that privilege than I did. So what I wanted to do was to help other students from similar backgrounds to myself, enable them to actually reach their potential and be their authentic self whilst at university, to be able to maximise everything that they can do.
I can relate to what you're saying. I was also the first in my family to apply to university. Do you feel that background is still a barrier to students today?
I think it is, yeah. I think there's a lot that is being done, and I think Zero Gravity is an amazing platform to be able to try and push that out there. I think within dentistry there needs to be more of that emphasis on trying to enable more students from diverse backgrounds to get into university, and particularly into dentistry as well, to be able to reduce the waiting list and just to help more patients, which is the reason why I applied in the first place.
Well, great work. Keep it up, the mentoring. It's fantastic. Grace, we wish you the best of luck with your A-level results. And thank you all very much for talking to us about Zero Gravity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Oggy is here with a roundup of an exciting night of football. Oggy.
I'm glad you think so, Bridget. Yeah, we certainly had plenty to go at. We had an interest in 7 different League Cup first-round ties. 4 of those needed a penalty shootout to decide who the winners and losers were. Keep an eye out as well for one of the more unusual misses by Bradford City's opponents, Accrington. But first, 2 clean victories, no penalties required for either Doncaster Rovers or Harrogate Town.
Doncaster Rovers' win at Championship Hull was one of the biggest surprises of the round so far. Rovers went behind after 3 minutes last night, but a double from George Miller turned the tie around for a 2-1 victory and a place in tonight's round 2 draw. That will include Harrogate Town as well, who won by a single goal to nil for the second time this season, last night at home to Carlisle. Sam Follarin's first half strike was sufficient because even though this tie also featured a spot kick, Carlisle spurned their chance in the second half and Harrogate go through. If you like penalties, Oakwell was the place to be after Aidan Marsh had forced the tie between Barnsley and Tranmere into a 2-2 final score. 7-6 down in the penalty shootout, Jack Shepherd's miss meant sudden death and exit from the League Cup. Huddersfield Town are out of the competition as well for another season, despite taking an early lead against Middlesbrough through Cian Harrott. Town then had Jaheim Headley sent off, and Borough took control in the second half to secure a 3-2 win. Sheffield Wednesday are through though, and grateful for their penalty shootout against Stockport at Hillsborough. Wednesday keeper Devis Vasquez saved 2 penalties to allow Lee Gregory to score the one to book them into the next round. Rotherham United will join Wednesday after fighting back at home to Morecambe, equalising at 1-1 thanks to Joshua Kayode, and then winning on penalties courtesy of Fred Onyedinma's decisiveness from the spot. Bradford City's first goal of the season from Alex Pattison opened the scoring in their tie at Accrington, but the hosts fought back to 1-1. For this poor Accrington player, it was maybe a question of footwear. But there was no such problem for Bradford's next taker, Clark Oduor, who put City through to round 2. Leeds United will be hoping to join our 5 victors from last night by beating Shrewsbury at Ellen Road in their tie this evening.
Away from football at the Cycling World Championships, there was more medal success at the later track sessions yesterday. Leeds rider Cardina Cox gave her trio a fantastic start out of the gate to help them secure a silver medal each in the mixed C team sprint won by China. And in the men's Madison, Wakefield's Ollie Wood took a silver medal with Mark Stewart in a dramatic final lap. Day 7 action continues tonight up in Glasgow, and you can watch that via BBC Sport Online. Now, there's a new game taking North Yorkshire by storm, and it's called Pickleball. It's a racket game. It blends badminton, tennis and ping pong. It's actually been around since the 60s. It comes from America, but since COVID, it seems to have taken off here thanks to one Yorkshireman who's made it his mission to bring pickleball to Tadcaster. Carla Fowler has been to meet him.
It's a game of skill, stamina and cunning, which is why they love it in Tadcaster.
I'm Keith, I'm aged 82 and pickleball has saved my life.
Pickleball has really blown up here at Tadcaster Leisure Centre. Why? Well, this is a racket game anyone of any age and any level can play. For many local older people, it's become a social club, a sporting challenge and a lifeline. Keith Grange founded the club. He fell in love with pickleball after one session and he's made it his mission to get everyone else playing too.
I try and spread the word. Once you've got a nucleus, they bring the friends, they bring the parents, they bring the sons, and it expands organically. I don't have any restrictions, everybody's welcome. It keeps me fit, but it also gives us a laugh and it creates a new family.
Keith was widowed 4 years ago and initially struggled to stay fit and socialise. COVID and lockdowns only made isolation harder for many older people. But through sheer determination to help those like him, Keith formed a pickleball club which now meets 3 times a week. Last month, his hard work saw him presented with the British Citizen Award.
To have people like Keith on board is fantastic. He now has 3 different groups in different areas. Pickleball is a mix of tennis, badminton and table tennis. It's played on a badminton-sized court, which is great because it's not a big court. It's played on a small net, so therefore, you know, it doesn't have the height of badminton, but it requires the skills of table tennis with the reactions and obviously the tennis technique in certain shots.
It gives me a lot of exercise and it's competitive exercise.
Get to mix with my dad in a different environment that we both enjoy.
It gets you moving around the court, it's a really good thing.
Pickleball, today Tadcaster, tomorrow the world. Carla Fowler, BBC Look North.
And to avoid this sports presenter being challenged to a game of pickleball by Bridget, our presenter, I'm going to go on quick.
I'll take you up on that. Professional breakdancers have been working with young men in Bradford to develop their dance skills. Breaking, as it's known, is an athletic style of street dance that originated in the States and will feature at the Olympics in Paris next summer. Our reporter Beth Parsons has been along to a workshop in Bradford to see the dancers in action.
You might know it as break dancing, but it's officially called breaking. Bobak Champion has been breaking since he first saw it on Top of the Pops as a little boy.
It was VHS tapes back then. It's like play, rewind, just desperately trying. I think my mum appreciated that I was like, okay, maybe it's time to take him to a dance class. He's like trying a lot at home, failing a lot at home, and yeah, gradually built it up from there. Waving by numbers.
For the last couple of weeks, he's been bringing together young Muslim men in Bradford to give it a go.
4, 5, 6. We've been running this 2-week lab, so it's just an intense period of growth, really, both physical and mental as well, talking to guest speakers, all centred around hip-hop and breaking.
Al-Amin is normally a youth and community worker, but he's been learning to break here too.
It was just very nostalgic for me because it took me back to secondary school where I was trying to get into it, but it never quite happened. It's really interesting because there's a massive religious element within this, whereas how I grew up, the religious element kind of took me away from it. So there's a massive contrast between myself and these guys who kind of reconcile their faith and their dance and their performance, whereas for me that was quite the opposite. It was either one or the other.
Now it felt only right to have a go, so I thought I'd ask the professionals, Razzle Rock, Itty Fresh and Shazad for some top tips.
Have fun with it, just let yourself kind of relax into the dance. There's no right or wrong with this, just have a go, get yourself stuck in.
Remain consistent with practice. A lot of the time it's quite, you might learn something new and you might be able to pick that up in the moment, but with anything it's just about continuously working those roles again and again.
Get into the music, enjoy the music more, so even if you was to learn a basic top rock step, I would say try and immerse yourself into that fully and enjoy yourself doing that to the music more than getting a move.
B for Beth. To get into the zone, Bobak lent me his hat.
If you go up through one arm, hoot, and then big bird the other arm.
All the gear and no idea.
Beth, you've got work to do, keep going.
Breaking is going to feature in the Olympics for the first time next year, something that split opinions amongst professionals on how what many describe as an art form can be judged technically. Not that I'd exactly call my interpretation of it art. Beth Parsons, BBC Look North, Bradford.
Now, the all-important question, what's the weather going to be doing for the next couple of days. Paul?
Well, a taste of summer. It looks like the highest temperatures since late June, early July to come tomorrow. This was how we started today. That's an absolutely fantastic sunrise that Jenna took. That was at around about 5:30 this morning, so she was up at the crack of dawn. The next picture that I've chosen was yesterday evening, Craycote near Grassington, with that fabulous display of cirrus as the sun was setting in the west. So if you've got any pictures, you want to get them on the telly, don't forget to send them to us on Twitter, on Instagram and on the Weather Watcher website. Now, it was a beautiful start. Let's have a look at that rooftop camera because it clouded over quite quickly into the early part of the afternoon, but that cloud, which is a function of afternoon temperatures, as temperatures drop away, there are some breaks now developing, so it's actually quite pleasant. That's a lovely scene outside our studios here in Leeds, and it does set us up for what will be a one-day wonder, one day of high temperatures, 26, 27 degrees, something of that order. That said, Friday's not looking too bad, still warm and mostly dry with sunny spells, but there's tomorrow's headline. Now, so we've got a bit of a pull of warm air from France. This will introduce Atlantic temperatures for the weekend, and then our old friend, this area of low pressure, will bring showers in over the weekend. Those showers most frequent and heaviest on Saturday. Still some sunshine in between, I think, more isolated on Sunday. And really next week is not looking too bad. It's not altogether settled. There will be a few showers around, but some warm sunshine nonetheless. There's a satellite picture. You can see the cloud that built up, especially across West and North Yorkshire this afternoon, but it's showing signs now of breaking up. So it's fine this evening. Overnight will be dry with clear spells. Just an indication that we might see a bit of mist and low cloud developing towards the end of the night, with lowest temperatures coming in at 12 or 13 degrees. And so tomorrow's high water times, lovely day along the coast again. Filey 12 over 7, Bridlington at 20 past 12. So any mist and low cloud will soon clear in the morning. Then lots of hazy sunshine breaking through the clouds through the day. There may well be some fair weather cloud again into the afternoon, so perhaps variable cloud by then, but still some strong August sunshine to come, and that will lift temperatures up to a very warm and humid 26 in Leeds and Doncaster. Somewhere eastern parts of South Yorkshire towards that Lincolnshire border may well reach 27 tomorrow, and that's 81 degrees Fahrenheit. As for Friday, a risk of 1 or 2 showers, especially at first. Otherwise, it's still dry with some sunshine. Quite unsettled on Saturday. Sunshine and thundery downpours. Fewer showers on Sunday. Next week, a few showers, but also some warm sunshine. That is the forecast.
Lovely. Thank you, Paul. That's all from us. Corinne will be here with the late news at 10:30. Until then, have a lovely evening. Goodbye.